All right, so you wanted to deep dive on Chapter 2, Nurturing Your Inner Oasis, from S.M. Sazit Arman's Level Up Your Life.
Inner work for personal transformation. Sounds intriguing.
It is. Lots to unpack here. Techniques like gratitude, mindfulness, self-compassion. It's about building that inner sanctuary.
Armand uses these relatable characters to show how it works, right?
Yeah. Like Maria, she's got it all. The career, the family, the house. But she feels empty. Ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah. That's common. It's like you have what you thought you wanted, but...
Something's missing.
Exactly. And that's where the whole internal state comes in.
Right. So her friend suggests a gratitude journal. 3 things she's grateful for every day.
Seems simple.
Maria thinks so too at first. But I tried this, and some days, honestly,
Tough to find things.
totally. But I stuck with it. And I started noticing. Like, less focus on what's wrong, more on little joys.
That's what happens with Maria. Like, her morning coffee, a sunset, her dog, things she used to take for granted.
They bring her joy.
Her mood lifts, less stress. Relationships improve because she's more present.
There's this scene, though, that's powerful. She sees this guy in the park, clearly not well off, just enjoying the sunset.
Peaceful, content.
And it hits Maria. Gratitude isn't about having the most.
It's appreciating what you have. That shift can be huge.
And get this, she shares it with her family. They start their own gratitude ritual.
Nice. It's like that positive change ripples outward.
Okay, so gratitude's the foundation. But what about when the past just hangs over you?
Chapter 2 covers that too, right? With Tanya.
Yeah, she's got this weight of the past holding her back.
Armin uses words like shadow, heavyweight. It's affecting her whole life.
She needs to let go to move forward.
Her friend Liz points this out. It's not forgetting, but changing how you relate to it.
We get stuck replaying hurts.
Yeah, letting them control the present.
Liz tells Tanya, acknowledge the pain, but don't let it control you.
Not about burying it, but processing it.
So how does she do that? Sounds tough.
She reflects on her past. Hurt, anger, regrets, the whole deal. And then she's walking in the park.
That
And
peaceful setting, it's like,
it helps her see things differently.
what was her aha moment?
She can change her relationship with the past, not erasing it, but changing the story about it. She writes herself this letter,
Pouring out her feelings.
all of it, acknowledging the past, declaring she's ready to move on.
Wow. But how do you actually let go?
Small steps, each day. Forgiveness, letting go of grudges, focusing on the now.
Intentional effort, huh?
It is. But over time, she feels lighter, freer.
There's a scene she's having lunch with Liz, and she's just radiant.
That's the power of letting go. Creates space for new things.
So we've got gratitude, letting go. Chapter 2 also dives into mindfulness, right?
Yeah, with Sophie. She's totally overwhelmed by life, work, family, everything.
That pulled in a million directions feeling. I know it well. How does she find peace?
Her friend suggests mindfulness meditation. Sophie's hesitant at first.
Like, who has time to sit and do nothing? I get it.
But mindfulness isn't emptying your mind. It's more like observing your thoughts without judgment.
Okay, that makes more sense. But still, starting out.
It's tough. Her mind races at first, distractions everywhere, but she focuses on her breath.
Gently bringing herself back to the present.
Right. And she starts noticing things.
Like what?
Little things. Bodily sensations, the feel of her breath, the coolness of the air.
Grounding herself in the present.
And it starts spilling into her life. Less reactive to stress, more patient.
So it's not just about the meditation itself.
It's bringing that awareness to everything.
There's this scene where she's hiking and she's noticing everything, the sunlight, the sounds.
The world comes alive.
And then she shares what she's learned with her sister who's stressed.
It's like mindfulness becomes contagious.
Sophie keeps practicing. And she gets more patient, understanding.
It's a way of life, navigating things with more grace.
So we've got gratitude, letting go, mindfulness. There's so much more to unpack in Chapter 2. So many different techniques for building that inner oasis. We'll dive into those next time.
Yeah, it's like a toolkit, right? Different tools for building that inner peace.
Totally. And one that jumped out at me was Lena and the Growth Journal. She's feeling lost, wants to understand her own growth better. Ever feel like you're on autopilot?
Oh, yeah, all the time. It's easy to lose sight of personal development when you're busy. But Lena doesn't overcomplicate it. She just starts journaling.
Just a simple notebook.
Yep. Her space for reflection, no rules, just honest thoughts.
Creating that safe space to explore.
Exactly. It's that authenticity you might not have with others.
I tried journaling, but I always felt like I wasn't doing it right.
That happens. We want to be good at everything.
Even journaling. But you're saying there's no right way.
Exactly. Just be honest with yourself. Be present with your thoughts.
That's good to hear. What does Lena even write about?
Starts with just expressing how she feels, that feeling of being stuck.
Trying to figure things out.
And then she starts seeing patterns, like being too hard on herself, unrealistic expectations, then beating herself up.
It's like the journal shows you things you didn't realize.
Those subconscious patterns, recognizing them is huge for growth.
So you can change them. What does she do with this new awareness?
She decides, I'm going to practice self-compassion. The journal becomes her reminder to be kinder to herself.
Instead of that constant criticism.
Celebrate the wins, treat herself like she would a friend.
That's so important, that self-kindness. So her journal becomes...
It's like her collection of insights, tracking progress, dreams, working through tough emotions.
It's like a conversation with your wisest self.
Exactly. And you see your own growth over time, the challenges you've overcome.
Okay, I'm convinced. Got to dust off my old journal. But before we move on, there's another technique I related to decoding your triggers. Emily's story, right?
Yes. Emily's totally hijacked by her emotions sometimes. For instance, constructive criticism at work.
Even well-intentioned feedback.
She shuts down.
Oh, I had a coworker like that. No matter how nicely you put things, it was impossible.
We all have those buttons as triggers, and like Emily, we don't always know why.
So how does she figure it out?
Lucky for her, she has a friend, Oliver, who understands emotional triggers. He's like, pay attention to how you react. Look for patterns. He suggests keeping a notebook.
Tracking situations and feelings?
Thoughts, memories, anything that comes up when she's triggered.
Like an emotional detective?
Yes. And she starts noticing a pattern when her abilities are questioned, even if it's meant to be helpful.
It's the underlying meaning, like she's not good enough.
Exactly. Triggers often come from past experiences that created those sensitivities.
So knowing is one thing, but changing.
That's the hard part, right? It takes effort. But Emily's determined.
So she tries to understand why she's so sensitive.
She thinks about her past.
Like, where did this sensitivity come from?
And she has this breakthrough moment, remembers times in her childhood when she felt inadequate, judged.
Creates that fear of not being good enough.
It gets triggered even now as an adult.
But how does she change her reaction?
Awareness is the first step. Now she can challenge the beliefs that are fueling it.
Rewiring those old patterns.
Exactly. Emily creates a mantra. This is about growth, not judgment, to repeat when she feels defensive.
So she remembers it's a learning opportunity.
There's a scene with her manager giving feedback. Emily feels that defensiveness coming up.
But she catches herself?
Takes a breath, remembers her mantra, and instead of getting defensive, she listens.
A conscious response, not just reacting.
And it turns into a great conversation.
Understanding her triggers changes how she handles things.
Turns them into opportunities for growth.
It's like she's taking back control, not letting those past experiences define her. But this is ongoing work, right?
Oh, absolutely. She keeps exploring triggers in other areas, too. Relationships, public speaking, even family. It's a constant process of understanding and managing those reactions.
And she shares this, right? Starts a support group at work.
People can talk about their triggers, help each other.
Turning those personal challenges into something positive. So we've got Emily learning to manage those reactions. But then there's Lena in life's crossroads, all about making conscious choices.
Oh yeah, Lena's story. She seems successful, but feels like she's on the wrong path. The stable job, the routine, but something's off.
That's stuck in a rut feeling, even when things look good on the outside.
Oh.
So how does she start to figure things out?
She talks to her friend, Aaron, who gives her some great advice. He tells her life will always have crossroads, moments you have to choose to stay or take a new path. Listen to your heart.
It's about having the power to choose. But how do you listen to your heart?
Lena asks herself tough questions. Am I happy? Do I feel fulfilled? That kind of thing. And she realizes her job, while stable, doesn't excite her.
It's safe, but not passionate.
Right. So she does this exercise, splits a notebook into 2 columns. One side, what she likes about her life, the other, what's missing.
Seeing the gap between where she is and where she wants to be.
And it becomes clear she wants more creativity. She used to love painting, but put it aside for a more practical career.
Oh, I relate to that. Pushing aside what you love.
It's hard to get back to it.
So what does she do?
She starts small. Every weekend she paints, just reconnecting with that creative energy.
And she starts to feel it again.
Yeah. She even starts sharing her work online and gets great feedback.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But going from that to a career change is huge.
It is. But Lena's not afraid to go for it. She starts looking for ways to combine her skills with her passion.
Thinking about a new path.
Not just thinking, she's taking action.
Love that. And throughout this, she keeps reflecting,
Right. Every month, she checks in with herself. Am I on the right track?
making sure she's moving in the right direction.
It's easy to lose sight of what matters when you're excited about something new.
So Lena shows us that crossroads can be opportunities, not just scary decisions. It's about trusting yourself.
It's about creating a life that feels right for you.
Speaking of creating a life that feels right, Chapter 2 also talks about solitude, which a lot of people misunderstand.
Isla's story, right? She's outgoing, but loves her alone time. It's not being antisocial, it's about recharging.
One of her things is taking walks early on Sunday mornings. Just her and her thoughts.
Finding that stillness.
I used to feel guilty about taking time for myself. Like I should be doing something productive or be with people.
A lot of people feel that way. But it's about self-care.
Yeah, you need that to show up for others.
Hmm.
But what about friends who don't get it?
There's a part where a friend asks, "Don't you get lonely?"
Makes you question yourself.
But I was like, no, it's about reconnecting with myself, quieting the noise, hearing my own voice.
Some people are afraid of that silence, being alone with their thoughts.
Right. But there's so much you can learn from solitude. Isla suggests her friend try a solitude hour.
Just 1 hour.
Reading, journaling, whatever nourishes you.
A good way to start. I know Isla finds solitude helps her be more creative.
It's like when you're constantly bombarded, your own voice gets drowned out. Solitude lets it come through.
Right. And she learns to enjoy her own company, not need constant validation.
That self-reliance is powerful.
So is she saying everyone should be a hermit?
Not at all. She knows you need both. Connection, A&D, alone time.
It's about balance. There's a part where she goes on a silent retreat.
Wow, that's next level solitude.
It's tough at first, but she comes out feeling so peaceful.
Those immersive experiences can be amazing, stripping away all the distractions.
Getting the reset button.
And Isla realizes solitude isn't just being alone physically, it's that inner space.
Your own inner sanctuary.
Exactly. It's a gift you give yourself.
So we've got gratitude, letting go of the past, mindfulness, journaling, understanding our triggers, making conscious choices, and D, embracing solitude. It's a lot.
It is, but they all connect back to creating that inner peace.
Before we wrap up nurturing your inner oasis, there's one more story, Mia and the Forgiveness Fountain.
Ugh, forgiveness. It's tough, but so important. Letting go of resentment, finding peace.
It can feel like you're letting the other person off the hook. I've struggled with that.
But it's not about condoning the hurt. It's about freeing yourself from the anger.
So what's Mia's story?
She's dealing with a broken friendship, a betrayal that happened years ago. She's been holding on to it, letting it affect her now.
Stuck in the past.
And then she finds this fountain in a park, the forgiveness fountain. There's this inscription on it that says, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free, and to discover the prisoner was you."
Wow. So powerful.
It's like holding on to anger only hurts you.
Exactly. So Mia decides to try to forgive her friend. But how do you actually do that?
It's not pretending you weren't hurt, but acknowledging the pain and choosing to let go of the anger. She starts by writing a letter to her friend, expressing her hurt, but also taking responsibility for her part.
That's a big step.
It is. And she doesn't send the letter, but just writing it helps her process everything.
Releasing those emotions.
And Mia doesn't expect it to be easy. She practices forgiveness every day. When she has those negative thoughts, she focuses on something positive.
Shifting her focus.
And as she does this, she literally starts to feel lighter. There's a scene where she's back in the park and everything seems brighter, more alive.
That's beautiful.
It shows how forgiveness can change how we see the world. And it's not just about forgiving others, it's about forgiving ourselves too.
Oh yeah, that's important. Letting go of guilt and shame. So Mia's story teaches us that forgiveness
It's about strength, not weakness. Choosing to break free from the past and create a better future.
And while Mia focuses on forgiveness, Leela's journey in cultivating patience is all about embracing the process.
Patience. Something we all struggle with, right?
Totally. Especially in today's world where everything's so fast-paced.
Leela's one of those people who wants results and now W, but she learns that patience isn't just waiting. It's about being present, trusting that things unfold in their own time.
Surrendering control.
Exactly. It all starts with a conversation with her grandmother, who's known for her wisdom and calmness. Leela's stressed about a project, and her grandmother tells her this story about her garden.
Oh, I love gardening metaphors.
It's perfect, right? She talks about how she's been tending to this garden for years, patiently caring for it, knowing it doesn't bloom overnight.
Just like life. You plant the seeds and nurture them, and they grow in their own time.
And Leela's grandmother emphasizes that life unfolds in seasons, each with its own purpose.
It's a good reminder to slow down.
And Leela starts to see her challenges differently. She realizes her impatience comes from wanting to control everything.
Wanting to force things to happen on our timeline.
Right. But we can set intentions and work towards goals, but ultimately we have to surrender to the flow.
So how does this new mindset change things for Leela?
She's less bothered by setbacks, more able to enjoy the little things. There's a scene where she's watching a butterfly come out of its cocoon. It waited for the right moment to unfold its wings.
Okay, that image is just perfect.
It's a beautiful metaphor for trusting the process.
Leela shows us that patience is about enjoying the journey, not just rushing to the destination.
And while Leela learns about patience, Sophia discovers the power of conquering the inner critic. She's got this constant negative self-talk that undermines her.
Oh, the inner critic. That voice we all know too well.
Exactly, telling us we're not good enough. Sophia starts by becoming aware of it, noticing when it pops up and how it affects her.
Like you said before, becoming aware of those patterns.
And she realizes it's not her true voice, just limiting beliefs she's picked up along the way.
So how do you quiet that voice?
It takes practice. Sophia uses positive affirmations to counter the negativity.
Just repeating phrases. Does that really work?
It can. It's about intentionally shifting your focus.
Changing your thinking, seeing yourself in a more positive light.
And she also learns to challenge those negative thoughts. Is this really true? What evidence do I have? Is there another way to see this?
Putting those thoughts on trial.
And she starts to see that they're often based on distortions or old beliefs.
So our thoughts aren't always right.
Exactly. And as she keeps doing this, she gets more confident. The inner critic has less power.
She's not letting it hold her back.
Sophia's journey shows that we can change how we talk to ourselves. It takes awareness and it takes practice, but it's possible.
And speaking of challenging old patterns, Emily's story, Decoding Your Triggers, is all about understanding those emotional reactions.
Oh yeah, Emily. She shows us how our past can influence our present, even if we don't realize it.
And how to move from just reacting to consciously responding.
Taking back control.
It's a good reminder that everyone has their struggles.
We can learn from each other, support each other.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Gratitude, letting go, mindfulness, journaling, those triggers, making choices, solitude, forgiveness, patience, and dealing with that inner critic. So much packed into Chapter 2.
Armin really gives us a lot to work with, different approaches for building that inner oasis.
It's amazing how everything connects back to creating that safe space within, like gratitude, forgiveness, mindfulness.
All tools for that inner oasis, that
Like-
place of peace and clarity.
It's not about being perfectly blissful all the time, right?
More like building that inner strength.
So you can handle whatever life throws at you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Weathering the storms and coming out stronger.
Before we wrap up nurturing your inner oasis, I want to touch on Isla's story, the power of solitude.
Oh yeah, Isla. She's great. Solitude isn't about being lonely, it's about connecting with yourself.
And for her, it comes at a time when she really needs it. Lots of stress at work.
At first, she just wants to escape. But as she spends time alone, she realizes
Solitude is more than just a break.
way more. She gets to know herself better, her creativity comes out.
And she's not afraid to tell her friends about it, even suggests a solitude hour.
Just 1 hour to be alone, no distractions, sounds nice.
It does. And Isla's story, it helps us see solitude as a positive thing.
Something we need, not something to be scared of.
Right. And then she goes on this silent retreat.
That's a big step.
It's hard at first, but she comes back feeling so at peace.
It shows you that inner peace. It comes from within.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 2 of Level Up Your Life, I'm hearing, there's no single way to nurture that inner oasis.
It's personal, right? Find what works for you.
Pick and choose the techniques that resonate with you.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be times you feel lost.
Ups and downs are part of it.
The key is to keep learning, keep growing.
Keep nurturing that inner space.
Exactly. That's where the peace and strength come from.
We hope this deep dive gave you some good takeaways.
Even small changes, done consistently, can make a difference.
Pick one thing from this chapter that speaks to you and try it out.
It's a gift you give yourself that benefits everything else in your life.
That's it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep leveling up your life.